When I get the opportunity to have an intellectual and sometimes philosophical conversation with someone, I'll usually bring up one of the main ways I look at things. I'll tell the person I'm talking to stop, look at the issue we're discussing, and boil it down to its simplest. Now, whatever the simplest is depends on what we're talking about. If we're talking about the rioting and looting following the death of George Floyd, what can we say that would boil the reason for the destruction down to its simplest? In my opinion, for a decent portion of the rioters and looters, some people just want to watch the world burn. Hey everybody, thanks for joining me here on MRC-TV once again. I'm Nick Kangadis. By now, we've all seen countless videos of criminals rioting and looting businesses, police stations, banks, and assaulting people. Yeah, I said criminals, because the last time I checked, busting windows, assaulting police and regular people, and stealing were all crimes. The left encourages it. I've seen people across the political spectrum chalk up the criminal activity as people being angry about George Floyd's death. Now let's be crystal clear about one thing right now. No one, with the evidence that's currently available, thinks what happened to George Floyd was justified. That being said, let me use what I said in a Facebook post just the other day. George Floyd would be shaking his head at these rioters and looters. The other injustice for George is how these people of every color desecrate his memory. I'd weep for humanity if humanity wasn't so supremely ignorant. Now, I'm not trying to speak for George Floyd, but it seems that political and media-driven racism has seeped its way into almost every aspect of our society. And a fair amount of people who have caused damage are the same people who just want to watch the world burn. They may publicly say that they care about racism, but for them, racism is just a tool to achieve what they truly want, the downfall of the American capitalist system. Whether they're Antifa or not, these bored middle and upper class people dressed in all black don't truly care about the plight of the black man. They don't care about any privilege a white man might have. They don't care which side of the border an immigrant is on. They say all those things to cover for their hatred of humanity. They say all those things because they can't stand the same American exceptionalism that afforded them the opportunity to not understand what real struggle is. The funny part is that they cause all this division and then have the blame placed on the people they're supposedly fighting for. Here's just one of many examples.
Y'all doing that for us and we ain't asked you to do that. Listen, don't spray stuff on here when they gonna blame black people for this and black people didn't do it. There's some black person. But if we wanted you to do it, we would have asked. They not gonna show y'all faces when they see that on their building. They gonna blame that on us. Y'all are part of the problem.
They don't wear masks because of the schmoronavirus. They wear the mask because they're cowards. They like to commit crimes in order to intimidate and put fear into people that don't want physical conflict. That's also why they primarily act in groups. They wouldn't dare be as aggressive as they are without 5 comrades standing with them. I'm not going to give them more pub than they deserve, but here's just a few examples of the messaging being seen across the country. In San Antonio, they want down with profit over people. In Oakland, they want someone to shoot Trump. In Austin, they just want to see the city burn. I can tell you from covering many protests following the 2016 election that in my encounters with groups like Antifa, almost every single one I've ever spoken to has told me 2 things. 1, that they're a communist, and 2, that they're an atheist. Now, you are free to hold the beliefs of a communist and have the freedom to not believe in any God in this country. But when you combine those things with a want to destroy, you get a lot of what you're seeing now. You can talk to me about whatever response from whatever organization or individual you want. It doesn't matter, at least to people who think that rioting, looting, and causing further division is a good way to change things. They are entitled to whatever their opinion is. However, I will say that I've never seen a protest, at least in the last 5 years, ever accomplish any semblance of real change that they're supposedly protesting for. In my experience, most of these protests in the last 5 years end up being, for the most part, exactly the same. They show up for one cause and then begin chanting and basically speaking in tongues about almost every cause you can think of. It's their own fault that they never achieve true change because they can't stay on message. It's like they got ADD. But those are people that are typically peacefully protesting. They'll at least talk to you for a minute anyway before they realize they have no argument. As for the people who just want to watch the world burn, they have no interest in talking to anyone about coming to any kind of compromise or possible solution. They are committed, and some of them should actually be committed, but they are committed to the fall of capitalism and the American way of life that has afforded countless people to prosper beyond their wildest dreams. Ironically, a lot of those people who get to live beyond their wildest dreams make excuses for the people who just want to watch the world burn. Hollywood. You actually have these people donating to pay the bail of the criminals that are destroying our cities, most of which have one thing in common that allows them to destroy those cities. They're run by far leftists. Celebrities like John Legend and Chrissy Teigen, Seth Rogen, Justin Timberlake, and Steve Carell, among many others, are giving their money willingly to criminals, but I haven't seen one of them come out and say they're paying for a small business owner to rebuild their lifelong dream. These celebrities don't care about George Floyd, and if you think they do, then why haven't I seen any of these stars say anything about the 82 people who were shot in Chicago this past weekend? Where are you cowards if you care so much about black people and minorities and eradicating racism? This is what you typically hear when you bring up points like that to people that have no concept of the real world. And you know why you never hear from these celebrities about the dozens of shooting victims in places like Chicago, Baltimore, and St. Louis? Because they live off of virtue signaling. These empty-headed Hollywood elitists will tweet something or donate to some organization, and that's their good deed for the week. Meanwhile, they live in their gated communities, in their fenced-in houses, and preach to the rest of us from on top of their hill. Some of us have the wherewithal to see them for what they really are, parasites that live off the rest of us, when in reality, they're just trained clowns. They are our court jesters. As long as we begin to see them as existing in their bubble purely for our entertainment, while we're in the real world doing real jobs that they look down their noses at, the better off we'll be. Stop looking at celebrities as if they're important, because they're not. As for the people who are rioting and looting for no other reason then they hate this country and what it stands for, they are the living embodiment of what it is to be a Karen. They complain about pretty much everything because they're miserable people, and misery loves company. It's like I've been saying, some people just want to watch the world burn. Are you just about as sick of this crap as I am? Are you sick of these pretend activists, these sheep in wolves' clothing, intentionally trying to divide as many people as possible? Let me know what you think in the comments. I do read the majority of your comments and will respond sometimes, so it'd be great to hear from you. Now, if you like this video, don't forget to share it and give it a thumbs up. Those are the two best ways to let us know you want us to keep these videos coming. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so that YouTube might let you know when MRC-TV comes out with a new video. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. For MRC-TV, I'm Nick Kangadis.